In this lesson, we are going to update user profile. What we're gonna do in this lesson is to add a new drop-down item on user menu. It's profile. When user click on it, we create profile page. User can see their email and can change their name. You can add as many fields as you want, like user address and other, but in this lesson, we're gonna just update username. By clicking on update, we save the new user on the database, and on new login, here I just sign out and log in again, new username appears on top. Like always, source code of this lesson is here, the repository link. In the commit section, find number 20, update user profile. Use this code throughout this lesson to follow me on creating user profile page. Let's get to code. Here is the plan to create user profile page and update user profile. First step is creating update profile server action in user action.ts. Go to user action.ts. Right after update user payment method, create update profile function. It's an async function that accepts user as parameter. User has name and email of type string. Then form a try catch block, get session from auth function, and get current user from session.user.id by querying user in the database in user table. If user is null, raise user not found error. Then update user table, set username to the username in the update profile parameter, where condition is the current user ID. So what we are doing here is to update current user name base what we passed to the update profile function. So we're gonna use it in the update profile form reader. If you want to update more information about the user, you can add them here, like email, location, address, whatever you like. In the return part, return successful true and user updated successfully. If there is an error in the catch part, return success false and format error, the error object, and send it back as message. Next step is in the validator.ts. We need to create update profile schema by Zod. Go to validator. At the very end, create update profile schema. It's a Zod object that contains two fields, name and email, all of them of type string, and minimum length is 3. Here I'm going to use .email to make sure the email we are going to pass to the update profile is a valid email. Save it. Next step is creating profile form inside user folder, profile folder. So go to the app, user, create new folder for profile. Inside that, create new file for profile form.tsx. It's a client-side component. I'm setting use client at the very beginning. Then export this arrow function, profile form, and at the end, export default profile form. It doesn't get any parameter in this component. I'm getting the user session and update function to update the session. So what I need to do here is to import use session, import it from nextauth/react, then shape a React hook form using use form, import Z from Zod, and update profile schema from validator. As an option for use form function, set resolver to Zod resolver, import it from hook form/resolvers/Zod, and create and pass update profile schema as parameter to this function. By having this, we have the data type of this form, which is name and email. Default values comes from user session. In the next command, get access to toast using use toast from shadcn. And here is the important function on submit. When user click on submit button, we are going to call update profile function, import it from user action. We already created this function, and pass values to this function. Values contains name and email in this form. The values that user entered in the name and email input box. It's gonna be passed to this function, and the result should be check in this line. If there is something wrong, show error message, toast error message. Otherwise, we want to create a new session and update the user session based on new data. So what I'm doing here is to define new session and get all previous fields of current session, but for user, I'm going to keep all previous information of session user, but change only the name based on the input box, based on the value that user entered in this input box, the name input box. By creating new session, call update function from nextAuth and update user session based on new session. At the end, show the message from backend, from the server action, which is gonna be this message, user updated successfully. After this, it's time to shape the UI, create a form from chatcn, assign component /UI/form. For onSubmit, call onSubmit wrapped in the handle submit from React hook form. The first input box is for user email. Import form field from chatcn, form item, form control, and input from chatcn, also form message. Okay, here is the input box to get user email, and second one is an input box to get user name. At the end, render a button from chatcn, set size to large, type to submit, disable if it's submitting is true, and in the caption, display update profile. Save the code. Let's go for next step and create page.tsx in the profile folder. Here I'm in profile folder, new file, page.tsx. Here is the code for page.tsx. I'm setting title to customer profile -app name and export default async function profile page. It's a server component. Inside this component, I'm getting access to the current session. If there is something, if user is not authenticated, redirect user to the authentication page. It's gonna be /API/auth/signin. And in the return part, the difference that we have in the return part is session provider. It's a component from nextAuth/React. We need to wrap the profile form in the session provider and pass current session as parameter to this higher order component. By having this in the profile form, I mean in the child component of this HOC, higher order component, I can access to the use session and I don't get any error by calling this. In a div, render profile as title and render profile form. Save the code. Go to user button component. Right before user story, render a new drop-down menu item, set link to user profile. Save the code. Let's test the result. On header menu, click on your name, select profile. There we are. We successfully created user profile page. And here we can edit user profile, let's say to test2 and update profile. If we log out and log in again, you'll see your new name appear on header menu. Great. We successfully created profile screen. On next lesson, we go for admin dashboard and manage orders, products, users on admin dashboard. Until that lesson, bye-bye.